In the quiet town of Hollow Creek, tucked among the misty forests of Oregon, life moved at a gentle pace. The air smelled of pine, and the mornings were often cloaked in fog that rolled off the nearby river. The townsfolk were a tight-knit bunch of loggers, shopkeepers, and retirees who shared stories at the diner over coffee and pie. But beneath the town's calm exterior, a mystery was about to unfold, one that would be unraveled by a German shepherd named Titan. Titan was no ordinary dog. His sleek black antan coat gleamed under the sun, and his amber eyes held a sharpness that seemed to see beyond the surface of things. He belonged to Clara Hensley, a 32-year-old park ranger who patrolled the sprawling forests around Hollow Creek. Clara and Titan were inseparable, a team forged through years of training and trust. Titan wasn't just a pet, he was a working dog, skilled in search and rescue, with a nose that could track a scent through rain or snow. Together, they'd found lost hikers, recovered missing gear, and once even sniffed out a smuggler's stash hidden in a cave. But nothing could prepare them for what lay ahead. It was late October, and the leaves had turned a fiery mix of red and gold. Clara was finishing her rounds when she got a call from Sheriff Danvers. "Clara, we've got a problem," he said, his voice tense. "Old man Carver's gone missing. His daughter says he wandered off yesterday, hasn't come back. He's 78, dementia's been getting worse." Clara's stomach tightened. Amos Carver was a town fixture, a retired logger who'd lived in Hollow Creek his whole life. Lately, he'd been prone to wandering, lost in memories of his youth. "I'm on it," Clara replied, whistling for Titan. The dog bounded to her side, ears perked, ready for action. She grabbed her gear, a flashlight, radio, first aid kit, and headed to Amos's cabin on the edge of town. His daughter, Ellen, was waiting, her eyes red from crying. "He was talking about the old mill again," she said. "Keeps saying he left something there years ago. I thought he was just confused," but now her voice trailed off. The mill was a crumbling relic from the town's logging heyday, abandoned decades ago and swallowed by the forest. It was a maze of rusted machinery and rotting beams, dangerous even for someone in their prime. For an elderly man with dementia, it was a death trap. Clara knelt beside Titan, letting him sniff Amos's scarf. "Find him, boy," she said. Titan's nose twitched, and he took off, Clara jogging behind. The trail led deep into the woods, where the air grew damp and the light dimmed. Titan moved with purpose, his paws silent on the pine needles. Clara trusted him completely, but worry gnawed at her. The temperature was dropping, and Amos wasn't dressed for a night outdoors. If they didn't find him soon, hypothermia would set in. Hours passed, and the trail grew faint. Titan paused at a fork, sniffing the ground, then veered left toward the mill. Clara's flashlight caught glimpses of broken fences and overgrown paths. The mill loomed ahead, its silhouette jagged against the twilight. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the tang of rust. Titan's ears flicked, catching sounds Clara couldn't hear. He led her through narrow corridors, past splintered crates and tangled wires until they reached a collapsed stairwell. There, in a corner, sat Amos, shivering in his flannel shirt. His face was pale, his lips tinged blue, but he was alive. "Amos!" Clara called, rushing to him. He mumbled something about the box and keeping it safe, his words jumbled. Clara wrapped him in her jacket, radioing for help, but Titan's low growl stopped her cold. The dog's hackles were up, his gaze fixed on the shadows. Clara froze, her hand on her radio. A faint scrape echoed from the darkness, metal on wood. "Who's there?" she called, her voice steady despite the chill running down her spine. No answer. Titan's growl deepened, and Clara's instincts kicked in. Amos wasn't alone out here. Someone or something had followed him. Clara pulled Amos to his feet, supporting his weight. "We're getting out, Titan, lead the way." The dog stayed close, his eyes darting to the shadows. As they moved, Clara caught a glimpse of movement, a figure slipping behind a stack of crates. Her heart raced. The mill was supposed to be empty, but stories lingered about vagrants, or worse, using it as a hideout. She tightened her grip on Amos, urging him forward. They were nearly at the exit when a beam creaked overhead. Clara looked up just as a heavy piece of timber crashed down. She shoved Amos aside, falling hard as dust clouded the air. Titan barked furiously, lunging toward the source of the sound. Clara scrambled up, coughing, and saw a man, a stranger in a tattered coat, darting for the door. "Stop," she shouted, but he was gone, swallowed by the night. Titan stood guard over Amos, who was dazed but unhurt. Clara's shoulder throbbed, but she pushed through, guiding Amos outside. Sheriff Danvers and a paramedic team arrived minutes later, bundling Amos into an ambulance. Ellen sobbed with relief, hugging Clara tightly. "You and that dog saved his life," she said. But Clara's mind was elsewhere. Who was the man in the mill? And why had he tried to trap them? Back at the ranger station, Clara cleaned Titan's paws and gave him a treat. "Good boy," she murmured, but her thoughts churned. Amos's ramblings about a box stuck with her. The next day, she visited him at the hospital. He was frail but coherent, sipping broth under Ellen's watchful eye. "Clara," he said, his voice hoarse. "I hid it back in 72, in the mill. They can't have it." His eyes were clear, urgent. "Hid what, Amos?" Clara asked gently. He hesitated, then whispered, "Gold, from the heist." Clara's breath caught. The Hollow Creek heist was local legend, a bank robbery in 1972, where 3 men stole gold bars worth millions, only to vanish. One was caught, another found dead, but the third and the gold were never found. Amos had been a young logger then, known for his strength and silence. Could he have been involved? She didn't press him. Instead, she returned to the mill with Titan and Deputy Ramirez, a sharp-eyed officer who'd grown up in Hollow Creek. "You think Carver's telling the truth?" Ramirez asked, skeptical. Clara shrugged. "Only one way to find out." Titan led them to the stairwell, sniffing intently. Beneath a pile of debris, they found a rusted metal box, locked tight. Ramirez pried it open, revealing a single gold bar, its surface scratched but unmistakable. Clara whistled. Amos wasn't kidding, but the discovery raised more questions. Who was the man in the mill? A drifter? Or someone who'd heard Amos's ramblings and followed him? Clara's gut said the latter. She and Titan patrolled the woods daily, watching for signs. The town buzzed with the news. Gold in Hollow Creek. Some called Amos a hero, others a thief. Ellen defended him fiercely. He was protecting it, not stealing, she insisted. He wanted it returned. A week later, Titan's ears perked during a routine hike. He bolted toward the river, Clara close behind. There, crouched by the water, was the man from the mill, older, weathered, with a scar across his cheek. He froze, then ran. Clara shouted, "Titan, go!" The dog surged forward, tackling the man to the ground. Clara caught up, panting, as Ramirez arrived for backup. The man's name was Leland Voss, a drifter with a rap sheet. Under questioning, he confessed. He'd overheard Amos in a bar, muttering about the gold. Thinking it was easy pickings, he'd trailed Amos to the mill, hoping to scare him off. The falling beam was no accident. He'd meant to trap them. Voss was arrested, and the gold bar was turned over to the state, sparking a legal battle over its ownership. Amos, recovering at home, told Clara the truth. He'd been the getaway driver in 72, young and desperate. Guilty, he hid the gold, vowing to return it someday. Dementia had muddled his plans, but Titan had finished what he started. Hollow Creek never forgot Titan's role. The town raised funds for a new K-9 unit, with Titan as its mascot. Clara, proud but humble, kept patrolling with her partner. Titan, ever vigilant, seemed to know he'd done something extraordinary. On quiet nights, as Clara sat by the fire with him, she'd stroke his fur and say, "You're the real guardian, aren't you?" His tail would thump, and in his eyes, she saw the heart of Hollow Creek. Steady, loyal, and unbroken.